What the color of mucus is warning you about your health. Did you know that the color of your mucus may sometimes reveal more about your health than a thermometer? The stuff you usually blow into a tissue and toss away could actually be your body's way of sending out a red flag. Whether you're dealing with a mild cold or something your immune system is secretly battling, your mucus might already be sounding the alarm. And here's the shocking part. In some cases, dark-colored mucus could hint at serious infections or long-term damage, especially if you smoke or breathe in a lot of pollution. In this video, I'll tell you what the color of mucus is warning you about your health in a way that's easy to understand and genuinely useful. And always consult a healthcare professional for a proper diagnosis. Now, let's get started. 1. Yellow. When you see your mucus turn yellow, it means your white blood cells are already at the battlefront. These cells release enzymes to kill off invading viruses or bacteria, and those enzymes are what give mucus that yellowish tint. So what you're seeing is your body in full response mode, trying to clean up the mess and flush it out through your nose. The first layer of this reaction usually shows up when your body is pushing through a viral infection, like the common cold or flu. Your system identifies the virus and sends in neutrophils, a type of white blood cell, to break it down. As these cells do their job and die off, they leave behind chemical remnants that tint your mucus yellow. It might look gross, but it's actually a sign that your immune system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You may also notice that during this phase your energy dips and your nose stays stuffed longer. That's because your body is using more resources to fight, not just to feel good. Sinus pressure that is building up behind the scenes is another factor that may cause yellow mucus to be produced. When your sinuses get inflamed or slightly blocked, mucus pools and thickens, giving bacteria or viruses more time to linger. Even if it started as a mild cold, this trapped mucus creates a perfect environment for microbes to multiply. The longer it stays stuck, the more intense the yellow color may become. And as pressure builds up, it may lead to sinus headaches or facial pain. It's your body's way of warning that drainage is slowing down and something needs to shift, whether that's rest, hydration, or medical help if it gets worse. According to the National Library of Medicine, yellow mucus during sinusitis is a sign of bacterial involvement. Inflammation causes the sinus lining to swell, blocking drainage and leading to a buildup of thick mucus. As fluid gets trapped and mixes with immune cells, the mucus changes color, often turning yellow when infection is more intense. One more overlooked reason for yellow mucus is immune rebound after an illness. Sometimes, even after the worst of your symptoms have passed, your mucus stays yellow for a few days. That's because your immune system is still sweeping up leftover debris and flushing out dead cells. Think of it like your body's cleanup crew mopping the floor after a storm. It doesn't mean you're still contagious or sick, but it's a sign your body is making sure nothing harmful sticks around. This phase is important. It keeps your recovery on track and helps restore a healthy balance inside your respiratory system. 2. Green. What gives mucus that thick green color isn't bacteria itself, but a concentrated mix of enzymes released by dying white blood cells, especially neutrophils. The longer the immune cells fight off invaders, the more of these enzymes they release, and the greener your mucus becomes. It's not always about severity, it's about duration. So when the color deepens, it's telling you the fight has been going on longer than your body would like. One situation where this becomes noticeable is in prolonged viral infections that haven't cleared up in the usual 5 to 7 days. At this point, your body has used up its initial defense response, but the virus hasn't backed down. This continued immune activation leads to more neutrophils collecting in your mucus, giving it that green tint. You may also start feeling more fatigued or have a lingering cough. It's your body's way of asking for help, maybe more rest, maybe more fluids, or maybe a closer look from a healthcare provider if things don't improve. When bacteria begin to take advantage of the environment that has been left behind by a viral infection, it is common for another layer of green mucus to appear. Your nasal passages or sinuses may still be inflamed or partially blocked, creating the perfect setting for bacteria to settle in and multiply. As your immune system tries to clear them out, mucus thickens and takes on a deeper green. In some cases, this may lead to sinus infections, marked by facial pressure, foul-smelling mucus, or even tooth pain. It's not the green color alone that matters, it's how you feel along with it. The combination of symptoms paints a clearer picture of whether you're dealing with a lingering virus or a secondary bacterial infection. 3. Clear. Most people don't give clear mucus a second thought. After all, it looks normal. When your body is in balance, clear mucus helps trap dust, bacteria, and pollen before they reach your lungs. But when it starts showing up more than usual, it's not just being extra helpful, it's responding to something that's irritating your system, often without you realizing it. One of the biggest reasons your mucus turns runny and clear is due to allergic reactions. When you breathe in something your body sees as a threat, like pollen or pet dander, your immune system releases histamines. This sets off inflammation in your nasal passages, and your mucus glands go into overdrive. Clear fluid flows out as your body tries to wash out the trigger. It might feel like a mild cold, but it's really your immune system defending against what it thinks is a harmful invader. This type of overproduction may actually lead to nasal swelling, which makes breathing through your nose harder and causes pressure headaches. Another key reason for an increase in clear mucus is environmental irritants. If you live in a city or spend a lot of time around smoke, dust, or chemicals, your body reacts fast, even if you don't feel sick. Your nasal lining senses these particles and tries to flush them out before they settle in. The mucus stays clear, but it becomes more noticeable because your system is pushing it out faster. Over time, constant exposure to these pollutants may dry out your nasal tissues and lower your natural resistance to real infections. It's like putting your defense system on constant alert. Eventually, it wears down, and that's when problems start sneaking in. The third issue tied to clear mucus is hormonal shifts. This one often surprises people. Changes in your hormone levels, especially estrogen, may increase mucus production in the nasal passages. That's why some women experience a runny nose during pregnancy or certain phases of their cycle. Even thyroid imbalances may trigger this reaction. The mucus looks harmless, but it's actually a sign that your internal systems are shifting and your body is adjusting its secretions to match. 4. Red. Seeing red in your mucus may feel alarming, and honestly, it should catch your attention. It's one of the clearest signs that something has disrupted the delicate tissues in your nasal passages or deeper in your respiratory tract. That streak of blood or overall reddish tint usually comes from broken capillaries, the tiny blood vessels just beneath the surface of your nasal lining. These vessels are fragile, and when the lining becomes dry, irritated, or inflamed, they may easily rupture. Then blood mixes with mucus and turns it red or pink. While it may look dramatic, it's often a signal that your nasal environment is out of balance and needs some attention. This occurs frequently for a variety of reasons, one of which is mechanical irritation. When you blow your nose frequently during a cold or allergy flare-up, or even if you just rub it too much, the constant pressure weakens the capillaries inside. Over time, that trauma builds up micro tears in the lining. Even a single forceful blow may burst these tiny vessels, especially if your nasal tissue is already dry or inflamed. You might see streaks of blood once or twice, and then it clears up, but if it keeps happening, that's a sign your mucosal lining isn't healing properly and may need moisture, rest, or medical care. Another important factor is exposure to dry air or extreme temperature changes. During colder months, heating systems pull moisture from the air, leaving your nasal passages dry and brittle. Without enough humidity, mucus thickens and your nasal tissues crack more easily. When you combine dry air with poor hydration or not using a humidifier, the result is often red-tinged mucus that shows up in the morning or after being indoors too long. This is your body's way of saying, "I need more moisture to stay functional." Ignoring it may lead to chronic nosebleeds or even increase the risk of infections due to a damaged protective barrier. According to PubMed, in asthma patients with severe sinus inflammation, elevated eosinophils and mucus buildup may damage nasal tissues, potentially leading to small blood vessel rupture. This may result in red-tinged mucus, especially when inflammation is intense or after sinus surgery, reflecting irritation and tissue stress in the airway. 5. White. When your nasal tissues become swollen, they restrict the natural flow of mucus. That slower movement means less oxygen and moisture, so the mucus loses its transparency and takes on a pale, milky look. It's your immune system's way of signaling that something is off balance, even if it hasn't turned into a full-blown infection yet. This shift is frequently brought on by the early stages of a cold, which is a common cause. When a virus starts taking hold, your body kicks into defense mode, and your nasal lining swells as white blood cells begin rushing in. That inflammation reduces moisture in the mucus and slows down how quickly it drains. As a result, you get that thick, sticky white substance. It's not dangerous on its own, but it often shows that your immune system is ramping up for a fight. If you catch this phase early, you may often support your body with rest and hydration before symptoms get worse. According to research, white mucus is an early sign of a cold caused by mild nasal inflammation and reduced moisture. It appears before heavy immune cell activity and reflects the body's initial response to viral infection. Moreover, the dry air inside the house is another factor that may cause white mucus. Heating systems remove moisture from the air and from your body during the winter months when temperatures are lower. When your nasal passages dry out, the mucus can't stay thin and slippery. It becomes dense and loses its ability to flush out microbes efficiently. This thickened mucus may sit longer in your sinuses, which may create that congested, sluggish feeling. If left unchecked, it may even become a breeding ground for bacteria. Adding a humidifier or staying hydrated helps restore the moisture your mucus needs to move freely and keep your airways clear. Additionally, a number of medications also contribute to white mucus. Decongestants and antihistamines, while helpful in controlling symptoms, may actually dry out your nasal tissues when used for too long. This leads to thicker, white mucus that gets trapped inside your sinuses. What starts as a helpful relief strategy may backfire if overused. You might feel like you're clearing things up, but your body's protective barrier is being compromised from the inside. It's important to find a balance between symptom relief and preserving the natural function of your mucus. 6. Pink. That light blush in your nasal discharge usually means there's a small amount of blood mixed in, often diluted by regular mucus. It's a subtle signal that something's irritating or weakening the blood vessels inside your nasal passages or airways. This isn't always a cause for panic, but it's your body's way of letting you know it's under some kind of stress, whether physical, environmental, or even hormonal. One major reason this happens is due to gentle but repeated irritation. If you've had a lingering dry cough, sneezing spells, or just been breathing in cold or dry air for too long, your respiratory lining gets rubbed raw. That constant friction on already sensitive tissues causes microscopic tears in capillaries, which leak just enough blood to give mucus a pink tint. Unlike full-on nosebleeds, this kind of bleeding is more like a warning sign. It tells you your respiratory system is trying to cope with irritation, and if left unaddressed, that mild stress may turn into chronic inflammation. A less expected but important factor is hormonal fluctuations. Some people, especially during pregnancy or certain phases of their menstrual cycle, experience increased blood flow to mucous membranes throughout the body, including the nose. That extra pressure makes nasal tissues more fragile, so even normal breathing or a slight blow may lead to pink-tinged mucus. This is often harmless, but it's a reflection of just how responsive your body is to internal changes. In this case, mucus acts as a mirror to what's shifting on a deeper level, offering insight long before any clinical symptoms show up. 7. Brown. When blood sits in your nasal passages or airways for a while before mixing with mucus, it breaks down and oxidizes, turning brown instead of red. But brown mucus may also pick up pigments from what you inhale, be it smoke, dust, or pollution, which means it's not just a color change. It's a warning your body is trying to push something out that shouldn't be there. The presence of dried blood from a previous nasal bleed is one of the most probable explanations for the appearance of this condition. Maybe you had an irritated nose a day or two ago, or you were blowing your nose a lot from a cold. That older blood sticks to the lining, and when your body finally moves it out, it mixes with fresh mucus and turns brown. This doesn't usually mean there's active bleeding happening right now, but it does mean your nasal tissues are still healing or were recently under stress. It's a signal to ease up, hydrate more, and give your sinuses a chance to recover fully. Having been exposed to smoke or pollution is another significant factor that may lead to brown mucus. If you smoke cigarettes, vape, or are often in dusty environments, like construction sites or heavy traffic zones, those particles don't just disappear. They collect in your respiratory system, especially in your nasal passages and lungs. Your body responds by producing more mucus to trap and flush out those toxins. The result is often brown or dirty-colored mucus filled with debris. Over time, repeated exposure like this may lead to chronic respiratory issues, weakened immunity, or even long-term inflammation. That brown mucus, in this case, is more than a reaction. It's a detox effort from your lungs, warning you that the air you're breathing might be doing harm. There's also a deeper concern when brown mucus keeps coming back, and that's an internal infection in the lower respiratory tract. In some cases of chronic bronchitis or old sinus infections, mucus builds up and becomes stagnant. As it sits there, blood vessels may leak, the mucus thickens, and it starts to break down, changing color to dark yellow, green, or eventually brown. This isn't something to ignore. It usually means the mucus hasn't been draining properly, and that trapped buildup could become a breeding ground for more serious bacterial infections. You might also notice a bad taste in your mouth, sore throat, or tightness in your chest, signs that things are spreading beyond the nose. 8. Black. That dark, almost charcoal-like color isn't just a weird coincidence. It usually means something foreign, toxic, or even dangerous has made its way into your respiratory system. Unlike the usual cold-related changes in mucus color, black mucus often means your body is reacting to environmental exposure or, in more serious cases, but to something deeper like a fungal infection. It's not just about congestion anymore, it's about identifying a possible threat that your system is working hard to expel. Pollutants in the air are one of the most common factors that lead to the production of black mucus. If you're a smoker, whether it's tobacco or any other substance, or you're regularly exposed to soot, industrial dust, or wildfire smoke, those particles don't just vanish after you breathe them in. They stick to the mucosal lining in your nasal passages and airways. Your body starts producing more mucus to trap and flush them out, and over time, the soot and residue mix with mucus and turn it black. This may look harmless at first, but long-term exposure like this may cause chronic irritation, inflammation, and, in some cases, structural damage to the lungs. It's your body's way of waving a warning flag, saying the air you're breathing is not safe. In more concerning situations, black mucus could be linked to a rare but serious fungal infection, especially in people with weakened immune systems. Conditions like invasive fungal sinusitis are not common, but when they do occur, they tend to show up in immunocompromised individuals, like those undergoing chemotherapy, people with advanced diabetes, or patients taking immune-suppressing medications. In these cases, fungi such as Aspergillus or mucor invade the sinus tissues, and the byproducts of this infection turn the mucus dark or even black. Alongside this, you might feel facial pain or swelling or experience a fever that doesn't go away. This type of infection needs immediate medical attention because it may spread rapidly and become life-threatening if ignored. According to the Journal of Cytology, black mucus called melanophthisis is linked to conditions like coal workers' pneumoconiosis, where inhaled dust leads to fibrotic lung damage. When these masses break down, black pigmented material drains into the airways. The color comes from anthracotic particles and iron-laden macrophages. It may also appear in fungal infections, crack smoking, or rare lung cancers. Moving on, let's discuss 5 powerful foods that help clear out excess mucus naturally. If you've ever felt that heavy, congested feeling from too much mucus, trust me, you're not alone. I've dealt with that sticky, uncomfortable buildup too, and it's not fun. But here's the good news, you don't always need medicine to feel better. Some everyday foods may actually help your body break down and flush out that thick mucus naturally. So if you're ready to breathe easier and feel lighter, here are 5 simple foods you may add to your day that work wonders. 1. Ginger. Ginger has strong anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties that help reduce swelling in your airways and break down mucus. A warm cup of ginger tea may help thin mucus and make it easier to expel. 2. Pineapple. Packed with bromelain, an enzyme that helps dissolve mucus and reduce sinus inflammation, pineapple is a juicy way to support respiratory health and soothe congestion. 3. Garlic. This natural antibiotic helps your body fight infections that cause mucus buildup. Allicin, its active compound, also helps thin out thick mucus and reduce inflammation in the respiratory tract. 4. Lemon. Lemon's high vitamin C content boosts your immune system and helps cut through mucus. A squeeze of fresh lemon in warm water may act like a natural decongestant. 5. Spicy peppers. Chili and cayenne peppers contain capsaicin, which thins mucus and stimulates drainage. If you can handle the heat, spicy foods may give you instant relief from that stuffy, blocked feeling. Mucus isn't just some annoying gunk that shows up when you're sick, it's actually your body's early warning system, and I didn't realize that for the longest time either. When I started paying closer attention to what my mucus was trying to tell me, I noticed how it helped me catch infections early and even figure out when something deeper might be going on. By learning what each color change really means, you and I may both be more in tune with our health. It's like your body is speaking a secret language, and once you understand it, you won't look at that tissue the same way again. Now that we have discussed the color of mucus, let's move on to other topics. Are you interested in learning more about your body? Watch 14 Healthiest Foods with No Carbs and No Sugar. Or watch Don't Eat These 8 Fruits If You're Diabetic and 10 Super Fruits You Must Eat. Watch one, or even better, watch both. Do you look carefully at the color of mucus? Let us know in the comments below.